Ah, hello. So what's up, guys? Um, Today I'm going to be doing my Wonder Woman movie review, which I just came back from seeing. I'm going to do this review really off the cuff. I didn't write anything out at all whatsoever. So first off, let me start off by saying this. Anybody who knows me knows that I am a Marvel fanboy. I love Marvel. I grew up reading Marvel comics. I like the X-Men. I like everything. I was never ever a fan of DC except for Batman and the Green Lantern. And even the DC stuff I liked was more watching the Super Friends as a kid. But always through my middle school, teenage years, 20s and 30s, I've been a diehard Marvel fan, and I've been on the Marvel bandwagon. Well, it's not a bandwagon for me because I've been there the whole time, but been a fan of Marvel films, all that this entire time. And I have hated every single DC movie, minus the Lego Batman movie. That being said, I initially thought this movie would be a giant garbage pile. Um, so I had very low expectations. After I heard some of the reviews, my expectations started to kind of go up, maybe too high. But having seen the film, before I get into depth, I really, really like this film. I almost want to say I loved it, and I kind of maybe I did. It is a really good film, and I highly recommend going to go see it. Um, so this movie, in my opinion, is DC's first good movie from their the so-called cinematic universe that they're trying to make. Everything else, in my opinion, has fallen on its face. And a big problem with it, I think, was Zack Snyder, which I hate to say that because I really love The Watchmen. I love that movie. I don't consider that a DC movie. I consider that an Alan Moore kind of a one-off sort of a deal. And I like 300. So I kind of defended him for a while, and then he just kept having really terrible ideas. um, and this movie also, I think it benefits from the fact that I think the studio didn't interfere as much. It seemed more of a film and less of a corporate product, which is exactly what Suicide Squad felt like. It's exactly what BVS felt like. Man of Steel, not so much. I just felt Man of Steel was just boring. The other two were just clearly like some CEO who's got yes men sitting all around him, just sticking his nose, thinking he's got genius ideas, almost insulting to the comic book community. You know, and you can go on with your DC stuff about like, oh, the Marvel movies are overrated, but the fact that Joss Whedon is coming on board, I mean, what are you going to say to that? So obviously, just shut up with that, and I'm going to give you this one. I really like this movie, and the more I'm thinking about it, the more I think I actually love this movie. So Patty Jenkins is the director of this movie, and the last movie she directed I saw in theaters 12 years ago. I was in college when I saw it. It was called Monster, which it's got Charlize Theron, an Oscar. It was about that serial killer prostitute. They got the death penalty, I believe. Um, and I can't believe she hadn't directed anything in 12 years. She is a brilliant director, and I think she should direct more. The other thing is Gal Gadot. So Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I hated that they casted her in this in initially as Wonder Woman. I hated her in BVS. I thought she was wooden, and the more I think about it, I feel like um, the real problem with her acting in BVS was Zack Snyder. I don't think Zack Snyder is a good director, not anymore. Patty Jenkins is clearly a superior filmmaker to him. everything about this Gal Gadot, I really enjoyed her in this movie. I, I just bought into her. I even got emotional at certain points. Um, man, everything, to put it in, I hate to compare it, but to Marvel again. But if you were to take all the best stuff from Thor, like with Asgard, and all the best stuff from the first Avenger, and you put them together, you get Wonder Woman. And I think I like this one better than the first Avenger. I really bought into her. I love seeing her in action. I it had some predictable moments. I predicted that there'd be a point Wonder Woman gets to where she's like, "Why should I even save these people? They're evil. They're corrupt." And that happened. This is not a spoiler. The villain, I'm not gonna say elaborate on, but it was just kind of like a throwaway villain. But that's okay, because like I said, I'm a Marvel guy, and many of the villains, I'm actually starting to get annoyed by Marvel, the fact the way they toss their villains away, the way they do. But it's okay. It's the movie's called Wonder Woman, and I mean, meh. So it's about her. I love the chemistry with her and Chris Pine, and I really love the way they explore her sexuality. Right? It wasn't all perverse. There's a scene with them on a boat, and she was like, "Aren't you gonna come sleep with me?" And and she just means sleep next to him. But with humans, you kind of think it might actually even mean something else. And Chris Pine, this is World War I era, is more conservative and whatnot, and talking about marriage and for her, she lived on a society without men, and without something like religious. The religious hindrance of someone's sexuality, so she would have no shame about the thing. She knows about sex. She says she's read all about it, and I thought that was extremely interesting. It brought another dimension to her character that I did not expect. I didn't think they were going to put any of that in there, and I really I'm glad that they made that decision. Um, it's kind of like some of the other little guys in her little squadron that she has, that she goes on this mission with to destroy these chemical weapons. I mean, they had their moments. They had personality. I mostly it was the Chris Pine character that I like. The guys were kind of serviceable. It was fine. Um, but uh, yeah, I think this is the one for DC to put them back on track. And what's funny is this movie is kind of about hope and about believing in the human race. And um, I really think what DC should take away from this, it's not that she's a woman or that it's a woman director. It's that it's clear that they let Patty Jenkins make the movie that she wanted to make. They let her make a good movie. They weren't, put the Flash in for 5 seconds. Oh, put Batman in there. Oh, put, a Dark Side, or put this other idiot over here, or put. There's none of that. There's no setting up another movie. There's no setting up a sequel. There's nothing at the end of the credits, so don't stay like I did. Um, it's it was just a really good movie, and my God, Gal Gadot looks so good as Wonder Woman. That uh, I I'm really beginning to like her. I started looking at some interviews that she's done, and being an Israeli, she was in the military. She was in Israel, men and women, right? Because equality, mandatory. I think is 2 years in the service, regardless of your gender. And she just seems really down to earth. She doesn't seem arrogant or anything. Every the more I see of Gal Gadot, the more I like her. And Patty Jenkins directed her perfectly. I wouldn't mind if they turned this into a trilogy with her. And I would like Patty Jenkins to do them all. I want to see more from Patty Jenkins. She is a fantastic director. I don't know why she hasn't done anything in 12 years. Um, so it's not a masterpiece of a film, but this really I hope this movie. I hope that with this movie, DC starts to change their tune a bit, because yeah, man, I feel like I had no I had zero expectations for this movie going. and I'm kind of on board. The Justice League, unfortunately, it's kind of, I think, going to have more of the same from before, whereas this one was a one-off, right? They that's the thing about the Marvel movies is they let Jon Favreau, make a good Iron Man movie. Then they left them alone. They did a little bit of very subtle, like in the Hulk. You see some missiles with Stark Industries, and this one too. Right at the beginning, you see a van that says, Wayne Enterprises, but that's it. That's it. There's no, they don't shoehorn anything in there. It was just a good movie. I don't know where these rumors came out that it was a mess. It's not a mess. Um, it's a very good movie, and I think I'm gonna buy it. I might buy it on Blu-ray, and I might go see it again. And it was not um, like in your face feminism. It wasn't all this political propaganda like Ghostbusters. I don't care what people say about Ghostbusters. That was political idealism, and they were bastardizing art and a classic franchise to be able to do that. This movie is not like that at all. It is fantastic. It's got men and women working together, being led by a woman, and she was awesome. She was pure. She was sexual. She wasn't. I almost feel like the scene where or scenes where they explore her sexuality kept her from being way too pure of a character. Which, having just played through the Horizon Zero Dawn, that was kind of a gripe that I had with the main character Aloy in that movie. And the same reason I don't like Superman. I don't like characters that are completely pure. And not to say that that's unpure, but it gave her a dimension, right? It was like, okay, she's got human desires and human wants and doubts too. So I really liked that. It wasn't all like purity and righteousness. Uh, uh, so I would say definitely go see this movie. I don't know that it's gonna make billions of dollars or whatever, but I think it's gonna do very well. The theater I was in, I'm in Florida. I'm not in California, but I'm surprised. I didn't know. Um, how many people, if it was going to get as packed as it does, back out west, but it was fairly packed. It wasn't sold out or anything. But yeah, there were a good amount of people. It's Thursday night, 7 p.m. showing, um, and everybody enjoyed it, man. It had its moments, and it's. I look forward to seeing Gal Gadot, and I hope she gets some roles where people know how to direct her, as well as they did in this movie. The stuff with the Amazonians too, man. I just loved that whole bit, man. The whole thing with the Minas Tirith or whatever that kingdom is called. I love the way they did that. I love the way they did it with the queen and with her auntie, training her. All that stuff was incredible. Um, so yeah, I guess to sum it up, I would say that on the Star Strider scale, Um, I would give this movie an 80. So I think that's well above average. It might go up. Maybe if I watch it again, I don't think it'll go down. If anything, the score will go up. Maybe it'll creep up to around 81, 82, maybe even 84-ish. But 80 is a very good score. Um, it's certainly higher than the other DC movies, which I've given like twos and 20. It's 22. Oh god. Anyway, I think this is the one that, and I hope DC does learn. They're like, just let them make a good movie and quit trying to shoehorn in all your crap for merchandise and being obsessed with setting up a franchise like many of the other studios are trying to do. The audience lets you get the universe multi-franchise. You don't tell the audience you're doing this. You let them tell you, yeah, we want to see this. And this is the first uh, sign of hope that I think that the audiences will respond in a way that is encouraging for them to proceed with a universe. So yeah, that's my score, an 80, and go see it. It's a great film. It's a great film. All right, I will see you guys later.